How's everyone doing? My name's Scott Wilkinson. I'm a professional body piercer, and you're watching my channel where we sit and we talk about all kinds of stuff related to piercings. If you have questions, let us know in the comments, and the better you ask your question, the better I can answer it for you. And the person behind the camera you can't see is Mr. Nova, so everyone say hi to Nova. And
hi, everybody.
Say hi to them.
Hi, everyone. How
There
are
we
we doing
go.
tonight? Doing another late night live stream.
It's fun to kind of alternate these. I do enjoy the night ones. I enjoy the day ones. One of these days we'll do a midday one. Throw everyone off.
Heck yeah. I want to do a midnight one. I think that'd be fun.
Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in that. Do you want us to get up at 4 in the morning here? What time would that be on the other side of the world? Probably normal midday then.
Yeah, it depends on where you are in the world.
We're
Yeah,
totally going to have to do a 3 a.m. one.
that'd be really fun.
Anyways, I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Hopefully all your piercings and piercing desires are healing and you're getting everything you need and you have a fantastic piercer. But we're here to help if you have any problems with that. So, Nova, how was your week? What's been up with you, man?
My week's been pretty good. Shop's been busier lately. We did hit a little bit of a slow spot there for a minute, which I think everybody's been feeling.
I'm pretty sure everyone did, yeah.
Yeah, but we've been picking back up, which has been good, trending in the right direction there. So I know you and I have been working on a lot behind the scenes to make sure that continues to happen.
Yep.
We have a new website that's going to be launching soon that we're really, really excited about.
We just looked at it today and oh my gosh, it looks so beautiful.
Yes, shout out to Bliss Branding. They've done amazing work for us.
And if you're wondering what we're talking about, it's not the Piercing with Scott, it's the Piercing Vegas where my studio is. So check out www.piercing.vegas.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially in like a week.
Well, by the time we get this edited and all that fun stuff, it could
Yeah,
be
there you
easier,
go.
too. I'm not real fast at that.
It's true.
Nice.
It's true.
So-
but yeah, we've got a few friends. No questions yet.
Well, let's do some shout outs. Where's everyone from? If you come into the chat, let us know where you're from. I love people from all over the world here. You guys are great.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. We have our friend Summoning Sloth.
What's up, Somebody Sloth?
And Jasper saying hey.
Howdy.
Let's see. My girlfriend Ariel is coming to hang out with us for a little bit.
Hey, Ariel, how you doing?
Yeah, we want to have you on the podcast at some point. Sorry we didn't get the webcam set up. We will soon. But yeah,
Webcams at this point.
it's been a tough time for sure.
Hey, for you nerds out there who know this kind of stuff, what's the best webcam to an HDMI, like a ATEM splitter? Because if you know what that means, you know I'm struggling.
Yeah, for sure. It's been fun.
Yeah, I bought so many video capture cards and all kinds of stuff. We'll get him on camera eventually. I think I
enough.
found a camera today.
Got to see this pretty mug. But Scott, I feel like you've been doing some interesting piercings lately. Whenever you have been piercing, like maybe not this last week, but I know you've done a lot of cool genital work on some stuff.
You know, the last 6 months, the genital work has really, really, really stepped up. I know if you guys follow my channel, I was talking about doing some Zephyrs back in the day. I decided not to do the Zephyrs. I did some research. I reached out. I couldn't really find any piercers who would do it. It seemed a little too dangerous, so I'm not going to do it if it's too dangerous. I had to have a good, solid source of information. And if you don't know what a Zephyr is, I have a video on it. You're going to watch it and go, why would anyone want that? But yeah, so... yeah, tons of genitals. I've done Amplangs, Apodravias, tons of frenums, PAs. I don't even know, yeah.
Yeah, you've been getting all kinds of fun stuff lately.
Yep.
We do have a couple questions and a couple
Sure.
more shout outs. Black Jade says hi. Thank you for coming to hang with us.
Glad you're here.
Vera said she is from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada.
Right on. Welcome in.
Welcome in.
I'm sure it's much colder up there.
Yes, most likely.
We're in Vegas. I mean, what is the weather here right now? Is it?
So
It gets down to about 50 at night at the coldest.
It's actually colder here than it is in my hometown in Pittsburgh, which is interesting. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. We
Cheers
have a
to all of you, by the way.
Yes, cheers. We do have a question from Amy. She
Sure.
said, my tragus was pierced at a bad angle and I removed the jewelry 4 months ago. There is still a tiny bump of sensitive scar tissue on the area. Should it still be there or should I see a dermatologist?
It's probably going to be there. It kind of depends on how long you had your jewelry in. The longer you have it, the longer or more developed your fistula will get, which is that tube of scar tissue. And sometimes you just see a little bit more. Some people don't scar at all. Some people scar a ton. So everyone is really, really different. Now, the only thing that concerns me is the fact that you said it's sensitive bump. Like, it really shouldn't be hurting at this point, I don't think. If it's because you're trying to pick at it and it hurts when you pick at it, you pick at any bump and that's going to get sore. But generally, after 4 months, you should be good to go. If you see a little redness, a little raised scar tissue, again, you can use some sort of scar tissue remover to kind of help dissipate and remove a lot of that. The one I like is Mederma, but there's other brands out there too. So,
Yep. I would say that if it's hurting for that long, it is definitely worth going to see a dermatologist. And if the bump is still there after 4 months, I think it's worth checking out. Better to be safe than sorry.
But I mean, sometimes it is just a little bit of scar tissue too. So, but if it hurts, it seems too sensitive, check it out. Yep.
For sure. Our friend Pirelli said, hey guys, are there any piercings you ever get tired of doing? Like someone comes in asking for this or that, and you're secretly thinking, not again.
Back in the day, I would say yes. Now that I've been piercing over 30 years, no, because it's all one and the same, but every person that walks through is different. Now, if you walked in the door every day of the week, saying, I want to get another piercing, I want to get another, I might be going, oh, not this guy again. You know, it doesn't get the hint, you know, you can only heal so much at once. But no, I don't get really sick of any of the piercings. Once in a blue moon, I might get a day where it's just like, how did I pierce eyebrows all day long and nothing else? Or how did I only pierce belly buttons? Those are weird days, and I might kind of say in the back of my head, but I'm not negative about it. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
I think so.
But yeah, there are piercers out there who say that, like, I'm sick of piercing tongues, I'm sick of piercing belly buttons, I'm sick of whatever. It's still called a job, people.
Yep.
We do what the customer needs. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean they don't either. I mean, it's, yeah. You got to do your job. Make people happy.
It is true.
Yeah.
I will say during my apprenticeship, I think of the first 150 piercings that I did, the first 100 were nostrils.
Yeah.
So there was a period where I was like, I would like it to not be a nostril. But I actually really like it. I really enjoy doing nostrils. Nostrils are probably my favorite piercing anywhere on the body. I think they're really cool. I have a lot of them.
And I do want to say this, now that you mentioned you did a lot of nostrils during your apprenticeship, I'm not opposed to that whenever I gave an apprenticeship. If someone just keeps getting belly buttons, keeps getting nostrils, you know what? You're getting one solid piercing so strong, and that does correlate and relate to all the other piercings too. So if you're doing something completely different every single day, you're getting well-rounded, but when you practice the same thing over and over, you get better and better and better at that one thing, and it all kind of works together. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's like the
as long as it's not the only thing.
Agreed. It's like the Bruce Lee thing, right? The man who practices 1,000 kicks is less scary than the man who practices one kick 1,000 times.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's cool.
I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, I like that.
I think you just made that up.
Maybe.
I don't believe that at all.
Maybe. You never know with me.
You never know. You never know.
Oh,
by the way, my eyebrows. We said eyebrows earlier. See these things? I said my Aaron did my eyebrows. They were at 6 gauge, and they're healing really good. I am so surprised because like these are some large gauge eyebrow piercings. I had black eyes for weeks. I still get a little bit of like some bloody crusties, but it's because they're hard to kind of sleep on. I need to find some custom jewelry. So any custom jewelry maker who wants to make an eyebrow at a 6 gauge, you let me know.
That would be cool.
I need some jewelry. But anyways, yeah, they're healing really good, and kind of surprised because they're so notorious for rejecting, and I just feel like they're in there. Yep.
We've got a question. Why is from Ariel actually? Why is a triangle called a triangle piercing?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So let me see if I can.
Is this something
it has to do with the anatomy? Okay, the anatomy basically, the triangle. For those of you who don't know, is like a really deep horizontal hood piercing. So if you have,
could you draw it for us, Scott?
What's that?
Could you give us?
I was trying to think of how I can draw this, and I don't know if I can. Let me verbally do this and see if I can draw it second.
Sounds good.
So if you have the actual clitoris here, and then you have the clitoral shaft going underneath, and you have a flap of skin kind of holding the top. So this is the top part of the triangle. Also, you have, I believe it's the inner labia nerves. There's 2 of them, that major ones, which come in and run kind of parallel, forming the shape of a triangle between that clitoral shaft and those 2 nerves. nerves. And the whole idea is to separate those, pierce right in between them so there's pressure on the nerves as well as the clitoral shaft. So kind of putting right in the center of that triangle, hence triangle piercing. I'm pretty sure that's why it's called a triangle piercing. It was Elaine Angel's one who invented it, correct?
I think so.
I think Elaine Angel invented that one. But yeah, to my understanding, that's it. If I am wrong or you have anything else to add, definitely let me know in the comments.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
That's a great question, Ariel. Thank you.
There are so many crazy names for piercings out there.
It really is.
They keep getting crazier. I feel like they're old piercings that come back and just get named something new, and then everyone gets super excited about them again.
It's bizarre. Like when I first started doing the whole Truth series where I was talking about all the individual piercings, people are like, you should do one on the Ragnar. And I'm like, okay, what's the Ragnar? You know? And I was like, oh, that's just a deep, this or what, that's just the way it goes. The names come up all the time. So when people ask for like, I want to get these bites, I'm like, you're talking about this because some people have different ideas and different parts of the world have different definitions for the same piercings.
Yes, it's true.
It makes our job so much easier.
Yeah. For a second, I was like, wait, how?
No, it doesn't at all. But you know what? I'm going to say this. Like back in the day, for some of you younger piercers, it is unbelievable how bad the companies used to not want to work together. Mm-hmm. All the threadings, nothing was universal. People would come in with a 16 gauge internally threaded, and it's like, do you have an extra bead? And like, I do. The chances of it working aren't real good, because no one knew the brands, no one knew the threadings. You had to go to that one person to have that replacement bead, if they even had them. Then they'd have to order them. Then you'd lose your piercing. It was a terrible time in the 90s.
Yeah, we're spoiled.
We really are.
My mentor used to always say I was born with an implant grade titanium spoon in my mouth. It's very true. Amy has a question. She said, is there a weight limit for a belly button / floating navel piercing? Good question.
I'm going to kind of turn it on you. If you go with titanium, the jewelry's not going to be very heavy and it shouldn't be a problem. I know what you're saying.
I get it.
So honestly, that is partially true. What I'm talking about, some people have very large gauge navel piercings. Go with titanium so you don't have the weight pulling down so it doesn't cause it to reject. But what you're saying is, do you have to be a certain size to get a belly button piercing? And the answer is no. You have to be a certain shape. Now, what I mean by that is you're looking for a natural ridge to pierce. It doesn't matter if you're 100 pounds or 400 pounds. If you have that natural ridge of your belly button, you're pierceable.
Could you draw this one for us too, Scott?
Yeah. Let's draw some stuff. All righty. So... almost I'm drawing noses, it looks like. So when we're looking at this here, okay, the first curve here, some people's belly buttons don't have a good solid ridge and it goes like this and it goes into the belly button and then back down to the lower abdomen. Now, some people have a ridge where there's a flap of skin. This flap of skin is where we would want to do the piercing. See how it kind of, it's a really bad dotted line, but that's where the piercing would go. Now, when you have a very no ridge like this, it makes it a lot tougher. I made it look like it's going deeper than it is. But these reject out, these ones don't. Now, the thing is, if you have the belly button that doesn't have a good solid ridge, you would want to get something called a floating navel. A floating navel is just different style of jewelry and a slightly different angle. The whole purpose here for a floating navel is to get, okay, so you're looking at the belly button here again. It's probably going up like that. And you're going to want to do the piercing deep. So you put like a little disc on the inside here. And the whole purpose is to hide the disc on the inside and actually have the gem, just a single gem. It looks like it's completely floating on top of your belly button. This generally gets the piercing deep enough where it doesn't reject out and you have a much higher chance of healing this up. But you can't wear the traditional normal navel rings. You know, ones that have the big gem on the bottom because it'll be tucked so far in, you probably won't see it and they don't look very good. So you kind of need to have just a single bead, single gem on the top if you have that shape of a belly button. Some skinny people need floating nails. Some big people need floating. It's different all over the board. So kind of depends on your body. And the other big factor I'd say right now too is like pants. This is even more important. If you wear high-waisted pants that rub right up against your belly button, you're not going to heal whether we have the right anatomy or not. It's just going to take forever. They stay red, they stay sore. Because back in the 90s when low-rise pants were really popular, everyone just healed these up, no problem. But as soon as the high-waist pants came and started rubbing up against there, instant bumps, all kinds of irritations. People couldn't get them to heal. They healed crooked, and they just hurt all the time. So pants are important. But yeah, so hopefully that answers your question about, is there a certain size you need to be?
Awesome.
Yeah. Under 10 feet tall. That's the rule.
That's funny.
I don't think I excluded anyone. Is there anyone over 10 feet tall?
I was just thinking.
7 foot or 8 foot's probably the tallest person in the world. So
it's something like that.
Yeah.
It's something like that. That's funny.
Everyone should get a belly piercing.
I agree. Mine didn't make it the first time. So
you were in Muay Thai getting your belly kicked every
I was. Yeah, I was. It was.
Again, that's worse than pants.
Yeah, it is. It's like, hey, you know what we're going to practice today? Kicking your piercing.
You should have worked on your defense.
Yeah, truly. Like, yeah, you want to get it right in the belly button. Great. All right. Jen says, I'm here for a live. I love your channel. I've been watching for so long. It sounds like it's her first one.
Well, thank you. We're so glad you're here. Where are you from? I mean, we do all these different hours, and hopefully we can do some different hours to get everyone in here. But yeah, we're glad you made it. If you have a question, let us know in the comments. And thanks for being a part of the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Peart fan says, are customers at your studio able to observe the anodizing process? It seems so cool to watch.
Yes. We have our anodizing pretty much right up front. At the new studio, it's going to be set up kind of the same way. Now that I think about that, we need to have that in the front door. So that way we can kind of see. Anyways, I'm talking to Nova about this. That just raised a really good idea for me. But anyways, what we're planning on doing, we have video camera on there. It's right in front of our little jewelry room. We don't want people like right up to it because it's electricity and you're dealing with a lot of voltage, amperage. It can get really, really dangerous. So there's a certain point where you need to be safe. So that's why I'm doing a camera and a nice big TV screen. Everything's blown up and you can see it in real time actually change. But yeah, we do show you if you want to see. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, it is such a cool process. I always love watching it happen, and I'm real excited about the video camera.
Again, you guys, you have no idea how many cameras I have bought in the last 5-6 years because of these channels. I don't know how many GoPros, how many regular camera, how many lenses, and how many times I bought the wrong settings for these things, like bought the wrong lens. And
happens a lot.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of cameras though, that's for sure.
Should have been smarter about it. Like, that's cool. Bye.
Yep. We missed it again tonight. But anyway, LR says, Scott, when do you think good quality jewelry actually became super common in piercing shops? I got my nose pierced in 2017 and found out the problems that I had with it were because of the jewelry. It was a 20-gauge nostril screw and probably steel. I feel like those don't even exist for initial piercings today.
Oh, they exist. I was playing with some of them today. It was old jewelry. Common? I don't think it's common. Here in Vegas, there's very few shops that have high quality jewelry. As a matter of fact, I've seen some of the worst jewelry in the world come out of Vegas here. So be careful where you come to in Vegas. Come see me. When did it become most common? That's a really good question. It's only really, really recently for the people who really care.
I remember when I was in college, I got my nostril pierced, and it was with a nostril screw still. I think it was at an 18 gauge or I think it was at a 20 gauge. If I remember, it was like 2017, 2018 when like I feel like people started using flat backs and not nostril screws anymore.
Now, I have a little rant here. I got to defend the nostril screw. This is important. The thing about nostril screws is they're not as bad as everyone says. I'm not saying they're better than the threadless labrets because that is the far superior jewelry to go with for nostril piercings. But the thing is nobody does nostril screws anyway. The right way anymore. The thing is if you are one of those people, props to you, but switch over to the labrets. It's way better. The nostril screw should have been bent to fit your nose. Okay. nowadays, anyone who uses nostril screws buys one size fits all and just slams it in there. There's supposed to be a little corkscrew twist on the inside, not just an L. The L turned into, like, I don't know where the L even came from. It's just lazy piercers not bending it properly. So if the jewelry was custom bent to fit your nose, we give room for swelling. In about a month after the swelling's gone down and is healed up enough, you're supposed to come back in, have the jewelry retightened and adjusted so it doesn't move around and things heal up really nice. But does everyone come in for their downsize and readjustment? No. No. And they're constantly worried, twisting it, trying to move it around because you can, and that also caused a problem. That's why the labrettes are just better, because nothing hangs out of your nose and more people keep their fingers out of their nose. So, but a nostril screw can work, but if you're going to do it, it should be titanium, and I wouldn't do the 20. I'd definitely do like the 18s. So.
Awesome. We'll keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Angela says, as far as timing goes, would you agree that it was like about 2017, 2018-ish?
Probably somewhere around there, yeah, I would agree. I was going to say it's 5, maybe it's a little bit longer than that. I've been piercing since 94, and I remember all through the 90s, like, there were a handful of shops in each city which had good quality jewelry, but most of them were just like, they're just terrible. But also back in the day, there were hundreds and hundreds of body jewelry companies that were just mass producing
junk.
Say.
Yeah, it's true for sure. Angela says hello.
Hi, Angela.
Angela,
how are you doing?
I almost said doing good, but I'm not Angela. Jen says I'm from Maryland.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Welcome in.
That's awesome. Miss Sandal, or Miss Sandal? Yeah, Sandal. I see Chunkla later. Wow, so surprised to catch a live stream. Love your vids. Your UFO video started my exotic ear piercing journey. Got a UFO myself, and a snug to conch orbital. Still trying to find a name for it. Ooh, a snug to conch orbital is tough.
I want to see a picture. Snug to conch orbital?
Yeah, send us a picture to your what is the Piercing with Scott email?
Yeah. That's dope. Yeah, I love that. Congratulations, and I'm really glad to be able to influence you a little bit that way. That's really cool.
Absolutely. I'm curious if it's healed, yet.
Yeah, me too. I really want to see that picture.
What's the Piercing with Scott email again? Is it just piercingwithscott@gmail.com?
Yep.
Cool. Yep. piercingwithscott@gmail.com. Feel free to send.
Try to keep it simple. That way I can remember it.
Yeah, me too. Peered Fan says, how long do you recommend waiting in line between rook stretches? I'm at a 10 gauge currently with a goal of 8 gauge. I know there isn't an exact time, but provided everything feels good, about how long do you think I should wait? So he's at a 10 gauge currently.
I'm jealous. I'm planning on having my rooks done at 10 gauge here soon by Dez. As far as the stretch goes, 10 to 8, kind of depends on the jewelry you're wearing. You know, if it's a big ring or something that's constantly moving around, it might stretch it out a little bit more. You might be able to get that 8 gauge in there sooner. If you have a curved barbell and it's not really weighing down, it's titanium, it might take a little bit. I would say, this is purely a guess, I would guess it's probably 6 months for a stretch, at least.
Yeah, for a rook?
Yeah.
I would say.
I don't know.
Like that. Take it slow.
And to be honest with you, I might even look at like looking into some Gorilla Glass, some retainers or some plugs that are half sizes or curves that are half sizes.
Yes.
Yeah, half sizes are probably your answer on that one.
I would agree. Yeah. Rook stretching sounds like a nightmare to me.
That brings up another point. You got to be careful when you're stretching cartilage, because I broke my traguses. I had my traguses eventually stretched up to a 4 gauge. Once we got the 4 gauge taper in there, I heard a crack and my cartilage split in two like that. So I have 2 little flaps in there. So I downsized, and I've only been wearing the 14 gauge ring in there ever since. But yeah, I saw someone come in one time with huge rings in his rook and his tragus, and I was like, you can't do that. And he's like, well, I did. And I was like, this isn't good for me, you know? And within a year, 2 years, or something like that, I ended up breaking my tragus. So just be careful, be nice and easy to it. I was really pushing it.
Is it possible to show everybody your little tragus flaps?
I don't think you can see it. And no, there's no way to.
That's all right. Maybe we'll take a picture.
We'll
do a
play
little video
around with
on
that and see if there's a way to kind of see if we can show you how it's two separate flaps, because that's kind of fun, because I kind of want to see it now too.
it. Yeah.
These big old sausages get in front of my ear and it's like, I can't see anything. So
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll try it.
Let's see. Jen says, what are some of the things you look for when deciding whether a piercing looks good on someone's anatomy?
Are you asking like if you already have it, or like saying like
I think if somebody was interested in a piercing and somebody was interested in saying like, hey, I have a couple ideas, but which one's better? Like, what do we look for in the anatomy to determine which one is better?
So this is a cheap plug to my other videos called What Should I Get Pierced? If you go through those videos, I will break down, like someone will take a picture of their face and I'll look and I'll say, look at the ridge on that bridge piercing. That would look phenomenal. I might stay away from a septum piercing because their nose is slightly deviated. But if you did that, we might be able to accent it with this because it's going to like balance it out because it's crooked this way and you have jewelry this way. As far as ears go, I wouldn't get industrial because of the flaps. The rooks are very prominent long. You could possibly get 2 or 3 in there. And I go through this with person after person after person. And if you watch a couple of those videos, you're going to kind of see where my patterns and how I pick things. I try to go by balance. If there's a whole bunch in the bottom, you got to kind of bring it back up to the top. If someone has a very unique anatomy, a very large tragus that could fit 2, maybe 3 piercings, I might point that out. That's just kind of how I work. I'm not sure what everyone else does. I just have a natural eye. I'm a natural artist. It's like I go into a place, like when I pick my new shop, my realtor is with me and I just kind of stood there and I just looked. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm visioning it all and I see it all. And she's like, you are a nerd. And I was like, yes, I think I got it. I'm like, yep, this is going to work. And she's like, just like that? I'm like, yep. And I went back the next day and took tape, put it all down on the ground. And she's like, how'd you do that? I'm like, it just works.
Yeah, you had a vision. And I think that's the biggest part of it is being able to visualize what something's going to look like. And I think that like the only way that can happen is through not only expertise in piercing for a long time, but also thinking about, different jewelry shapes or other things like that might work. I think maybe it was you yesterday, where somebody was talking about like, oh, would this piece of jewelry look good on my nose? And they were like, and cause she had a very flat nose. And the one that we were looking at, would have been great, but for somebody whose nose wasn't as flat, like had a little divot, it could actually like, not cut the nose, but scrape up against it in some ways.
I think that was Des.
Yeah, it must have been Des. But yeah, I just think over time you start to see what jewelry can fit where.
And that's it. Like I can visualize sizes too. Yep. Like you need a 4mm bead there, a 3mm bead here. You need a disc, but you can get away with like a 5 or a 6 here. That'd be super. And like I see those numbers and sizes. Like when I'm sorting jewelry, I can just tell what stuff is now, which is crazy. I've been doing this way too long. But anyways, that's a huge part of it. It just takes a lot of practice and knowing your jewelry, understanding what's going to heal, and don't set people up for like the worst healing things ever. Like I got this great idea for an industrial. I used to pull this guy's jewelry out all the time who would talk people into these crazy looking cool industrials, but he wouldn't tell them what they're in for. It's like, hey, let's do a triple snug on you. It's going to look so cool. You'll never see anyone else with it. Well, yeah, that's a great selling point. But you should also told them that they're not going to be able to have a non-tender ear for probably 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Chance of rejecting is going to be through the roof. It's going to be so swollen, it's going to look like crap for 2 to 3 years.
Yep.
These are things that people don't. Be the good piercer. That's all I'm saying.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. LR says, oh, Scott, I just noticed the new eyebrow jewelry looks rad.
Thank you. Yeah, I had Aaron pierce them. They're 6-gauge glass pieces of jewelry in here right now.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I can't wait to see the plug.
Do you still have those pictures of the black eyes? You should show them one of those black eye pictures.
Yeah.
Man, did I get some black eyes. We always talk about when you get eyebrow piercings, there's a possibility or a chance for a black eye. Man, I look like I was wearing eyeshadow.
It's true. It's true. I joked that he looked like the bearded lady because it looked like he had eyeshadow on. It was funny.
So we'll come back to that picture here in a minute when you find it.
We will.
Yep.
Pirelli said, I want to get a rook piercing with a piece of jewelry that looks like a rook chess piece. That's so funny you say that. I was actually thinking about the rook chess piece today.
That's a really great idea, and I don't know why no one else has kind of jumped on that one. You know, that's one of the few intros I truly remember for the whole Truth series when I was talking about the rook, and I was like, my favorite piercing named after a chess piece, the rook piercing. Dun, dun, dun.
That's funny.
I was so proud of it, and at the time Jared was like, "No, don't do that." And I'm like, "We're doing it."
Yeah, I'm glad you did for sure. Actually, I'm having trouble pulling up the pictures. I may have to do it at a later date.
Another time, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I need some verification stuff.
Anyways, I looked real pretty, like a bunch of eyeshadow.
Yes, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Peart fan said, "Jesus Christ, thank you for the warning about not cracking my cartilage. New fear unlocked." Yeah,
Yeah.
you're telling me.
You know, the thing is like when you stretch, don't hurt yourself. If it starts really hurting, you're doing damage.
Yep.
And that was back in the day when I thought I was invincible. We didn't have the education, and I was just like, I'm gonna make it, and I did it to myself.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's very odd that happened. I mean, like, I didn't know that it could.
I didn't either.
So
Until I heard that crack, and I was like,
yeah.
uh-oh. I don't think it's that important of a part. I should be fine.
Yeah.
I turned out fine.
Yeah, right. Alexander Black says, "Do you have any tips for stretching septums? I was thinking of stretching mine."
Yeah. Not a whole lot of tips. Take your time. It's not that bad of a stretch. Mm-hmm. The thing is the septum, it kind of has a sweet spot, and that sweet spot only can accommodate so much before it starts getting really painful. What I mean by that is I made it up to a 2-gauge where I could wear a 2-gauge piece of jewelry really comfortably. I got it stretched up to a 0 once, wore it for months and months, and it just never, ever let up, and it just hurt all the time just because it was pressing up against that cartilage. So there's a certain size you can go to. But as far as like stretching goes, earlobes and septums are some of the easier ones if you do it properly. If you overstretch your septum, it's not going to feel good. Be nice.
Yes, for sure.
Overstretching the septum. That sucks.
That's a bad
That's
time
why I'm
for
always
sure.
afraid to have piercers stretch my septum.
Yeah.
You know, I always try to tell people, like, you should be able to kind of dead stretch and just be able to put it in yourself, you know. And also a lot of people, once they get to a little larger sizes, sometimes they're going to use their own type of taper using, like, little pinchers, you know, to kind of slide it into the next size. So still looking for pictures, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I was also looking for a picture that that person sent through about the snug. So doesn't look like I got it. It is, I'm going to say one more time, PiercingWithScott, PIERCING, with Scott at gmail.com. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Cool.
Sparkling Divine says, "Hi, Scott. Thanks for your content regarding piercing advice. I pierced my nose last year and my helix a week ago Sunday. Most likely I'm going to do my own tragus this weekend."
I wouldn't
either.
I never condone home piercings. I'm pretty sure you don't have an autoclave. I'm pretty sure you don't have the quality jewelry, the materials, the tools you need. You're not going to get the right angle. It's going to be crooked. The chance of cross-contamination and infection go through the roof. You really should have it done.
Yep, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why we put so much time and effort into making sure our studio to make
That's
sure.
what this education's about. It's not about teaching you how to pierce yourself. Make me proud. Go see a piercer.
Yes, go see a piercer. If you're looking for one, we may be able to send you to a friend of ours. So let us know where you're from.
Yep. But congratulations on your other piercers, and thanks for following us. We still love having you here. Just
Yes.
Don't pierce yourself.
Don't pierce yourself. Marvin says, "By the way, since you mentioned the new shop, any progress updates?"
Well, I have keys to it now. We're in the process of just the finishing. God, what is the approval of the city, the building inspectors, the architects, the construction, it's just insane. It looks like probably mid-February is what we're hoping for. Nothing's been built there yet, but we're making progress. We're getting close to, like, digging that shovel in, however they say it. So
Yes, indeed.
I'm glad you're here, Marvin.
Yeah.
How you
thanks for
doing,
hanging
man?
out.
Marvin's been one of my regulars for quite a while.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
Miss Sandal said, I sent the email. I hope the pictures worked. I did get it. Would you be okay with us showing it? Let me know, and yeah, we'll do that if you're up for it. It looks pretty cool.
Is that
and
right there?
yep, yeah, I got it here.
Cool.
Angela says, I really want to get piercings besides the lobes that I already have, but most shops use silver jewelry, and I'm allergic to silver. Do you know which metals are less likely to have allergic reactions?
Now, the question I have, is it silver looking or are they piercing with sterling silver? You should never get pierced with sterling silver. Everyone has problems with that. What you should be getting pierced with is implant grade titanium. That is the far superior metal to get pierced with. Next to that, you're also going to have gold. You can get pierced with solid 14 karat gold or better. I wouldn't ever suggest doing any plating stuff because the way they plate it and sometimes the metals on the underside can cause a lot more problems, so it should be solid. Yeah, hopefully you're not getting pierced with actual silver, and don't get pierced with a piercing gun. Get pierced with a piercing needle. They're single-use, disposable, they're cleaner, they're going to be a faster heal and a lot less traumatic. May seem scarier, but I promise it's way better.
Yep. But short answer, implant grade titanium is the move. Again, if you let us know where you are in the world, we might be able to send you to someone that we know. We have friends in many places.
That we do.
Yes.
All over the world.
Yes.
It's so cool.
It is
I
cool.
love technology.
Me too. Taco Cat is a palindrome. Says, I love the way you're thinking, Taco Cat, in this question. They said, hey, Scott and Nova, what's the biggest gauge size you're willing to pierce a septum? Can a single flare plug / tunnel be used as initial septum jewelry? I love your current time slot, by the way. It's just after 2 p.m. in Australia.
Cool. Great question. Now, the largest okay. Some people will use needles. Some people will use biopsy punches or dermal punches. If you're doing a dermal punch, you can definitely go way bigger, but you're going to be hitting cartilage. And I've never done a dermal punch or biopsy punch on a septum. I just pierced with a needle. The largest septum I've ever pierced, I think, was a 6 gauge. I think I've done several at 6 gauge. If you are in there and you kind of feeling you have like that like nice large sweet spot and the piercer feels super comfortable, you could probably totally support it. The right person, I might consider a 4 gauge. Not likely. You better have serious amount of mods, the coolest, sweetest sweet spot I've ever seen on a septum, and I better be in a really good mood. But 6 is generally the biggest I would probably go. And if you're doing the biopsy punch, I think they can go up to a 0 or 00, somewhere around there. I think 0 is the biggest.
Nice.
8 millimeters.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
10 millimeters? 8? I don't know. Anyways, that's my answer.
Awesome. I got the okay to show this snug. So Scott, I'm gonna pull this up.
I can only see it from a distance. I can't wait to. There it is. Oh, sweet! And it's done with one of those evolution or the
interstellar
pieces by Noah Babcock. That's so. Unless it's someone else who bent that piece.
Looks mad.
Can you go back? Okay. And go back to the other picture, the backside. With the jewelry gets confusing.
Yeah, it does. It does. But I'm pretty sure that like the exit's like right here.
Yeah. Yep. And what you do is you just kind of twist that ring to the side. You can slide it in. I honestly thought it was going to be opposite of that. That's really, really cool. I thought the ring was going to go over the snug, not behind it.
Yeah, me too. I usually see it like in this area where like the conch is done there.
Yes.
And then through the snug there. And then the ring is kind of like up like that.
I have not seen this piercing before. This is so rad. Props to you for getting this. Props to your piercer for pulling that off. Looks like you're still a little swollen, but it looks like you're mostly healed, I would guess. It's hard to tell. Oh, man, that's cool.
It is cool.
Dry skin around there.
Yeah, it looks a little mad.
Yeah.
But
to be expected.
Yeah, truly. Truly.
Congratulations. That is so cool. And the worst part about that piercing is most people just don't get it, do they? It's like you went through all this and people are like, oh, that's a neat looking little helix piercing. Like, no, it's more than that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So that would be the most disappointing part is no one really understands what you have, but we do.
Yes,
and
we do.
We love it.
Yeah, congratulations. That's a cool one.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. I love this.
Absolutely.
We need to show more piercings like that on this channel.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, cool piercings, send them to us. We'll take a look.
Yes.
And say, we give you permission to show on your channel. Write that right in there so we don't have to seek you out. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, he said he got it re-pierced by Noah himself, actually. That's awesome. Yeah, Noah's great.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we love Noah. That's awesome. Yeah, we carry Interstellar, actually. I've been meaning to put another order in. I'm looking to get one of those pieces in my bridge, actually, which I'm really excited about.
And you know what? Shout out to Noah Babcock. He has this it's Interstellar, right? Yep. Yeah, I keep getting that mixed up. Interstellar body jewelry, where it's all niobium, gold, and titanium. And he does these custom bends. He does hammers. He does all kinds of crazy things to these. So if you're looking for something non-traditional, like for a nostril, a concha, anything like that, yeah, look at this stuff. There you go. It is just gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really got like a cool, like sci-fi fantasy kind of vibe to it, which is very much the vibe I'm going for.
So we were talking earlier about like, how do I like find what piercings would work for people and how do I curate? This is next level. This is beyond what I could, yeah. Go away, Instagram. Cool.
Well, awesome.
Yeah, check out his jewelry. Tell him Scott sent you.
I was just going to say,
like,
yeah.
Scott.
But no, definitely tell him we said hi the next time. I assume you're going to go in for a checkup at some point. So, Marvin actually asked, can I get the first piercing at your new place? I'm finally healing up the last 3, and I would really like to add another rung or 2. Send us an email. Maybe we might be able to work.
Yes,
like
I'll work something with that. Would be really cool. It'd be an honor for you to be the first piercing on that day when we open up. So yeah,
for sure. So email piercingvegas@gmail.com and we'll figure something out.
Thanks for asking, Marvin. You're awesome.
I appreciate that. You're the man. Let's see. So Sparkling Divine did reach back out. She said, thanks for the advice and the tips. Unfortunately, I do have 4 kids and can't afford to get these piercings done by a pro. I have had good results so far, no bumps or long-term redness. So you are lucky. Most often it doesn't go like that. But I will say there is something called survivorship bias, which is it's like if you do something that is dangerous once and it doesn't go badly, you can kind of become used to it and think that it's less dangerous than it actually is. So you have been very lucky. I would say the best move for you would be to make sure to take care of the piercings that are healing, especially since you got the helix like a week ago or something. Those can take up to a year to heal completely. And I truly would recommend saving. Just slowly put some money away, a couple bucks a week, to make sure that you're getting it done with high quality jewelry and in a safe environment, because, like you say, you have 4 kids. So imagine if you got a really horrible infection in your ear
and had to go to the hospital and had to try to figure out how to,
exactly.
And you know what? Hepatitis is forever. And then once you have that, now you're at risk of giving your kids all that too.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So the benefits do not outweigh the risks in this case. Piercings are definitely super rad, but we advocate for not getting them done rather than doing them at home. They do also have like fake piercings, which we're a big advocate for. It's just like jewelry.
None of mine are real.
That would be the craziest thing to ever happen.
Just if pull them all out one thing. People like, I'm done, unsubscribe.
Yeah, you just like you start wiping your head and the tattoo disappears. Like you're just a regular guy.
So messed up. But yeah, have it done. It's so dangerous. It's not worth it.
Yes.
Hepatitis is forever.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed for sure. Black Jade asks, I tried to stretch my second earlobe piercing to a 12 gauge and they got super angry. I was at 14 gauge for a year. Any suggestions?
So here's the thing. Some people have really stretchy ears. Some people don't have stretchy ears. And it sounds like you're in the don't stretchy ear category. If you were wearing studs, change over to hoops. Okay. Wear them when you go to sleep. Don't take them out before you go to bed at night. So you should have some 14 gauge hoops in there. And when you're sleeping, the rings are going to kind of twist and contort a little bit. It might be a little bit tender, but I'd be willing to bet after a couple months wearing rings like that, that will actually loosen it up to where you can get the 12 in. And it's going to be kind of the same situation. You're probably going to have a really, really rough time getting up to larger sizes.
Yep. I will also say, as an advocate for that, actually, when I was stretching my earlobes, I had rings in there, and I would even just like slowly, like they were obviously very well healed at this point, but I would kind of tug at them a little bit every once in a while, just to try and get a little bit of extra space, cause them to stretch, even if it's just a little tiny bit. I don't know how much it helped, but it seemed to.
Yep. And the other thing is a lot of people take their jewelry out when they sleep and like, oh, it just goes right back in, but it just shrunk back up and you lost any of that stretch for that day. And you're never going to be able to get to that if you don't stay at that size. So that could also be a factor.
Yes, agreed.
And as far as rings go, if you're wearing studs, you're going to get rings. I would suggest looking for niobium rings. Niobium. It's a pure metal. It can be anodized, so that means you can color it. But the reason I'm going to suggest the niobium is because it's a really heavier metal, and that little bit of weight might be all you need as well.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
God, you guys are so rad. How do you come up with such good questions? And you're always here when we're here. And
so Jade did say, I have my lobes at a 0 gauge and stretch those with no issues.
So it's the second hole up?
Yeah, it's the second hole up. I'm sorry, I said second, or maybe I didn't say second earlobes.
Okay.
But yeah, tried to stretch second earlobe piercing to a 12 gauge. So it makes me wonder, how high are your second lobes? Maybe it's starting to get into the cartilage, and that's
if
causing
it's
it to be
higher
a
up
little
like
bit
that towards the
difficult.
conch. Is that what you're saying? Or like further up the ear towards the helixes?
That one, further up the ear towards the helixes. As you start to go up that direction, the ear starts to change from earlobe tissue into harder cartilage. So depending on where your lobes were pierced, they might be in that cartilage and might be a little bit more difficult to stretch.
It's a really interesting situation, though.
Yeah, it is. That's my best guess.
Yeah, me too.
That's my best guess.
Yeah, what Nova said.
It's funny. I feel like I learned so much on these live streams. Like every time we do them, there are always such interesting questions, and I feel like it challenges my brain so much to try.
I mean, I've said it probably 100 times on this channel, where it's just like I thought when we first started doing. I farted when I first started. That's what I meant to say. I thought everyone's gonna be like, how do I get rid of this bump? How do I get rid of this bump? When can I switch to hoops? How can I get rid of this bump? And I thought that's all I was gonna get. And once in a while I would get something like, how long should I wait to stretch or something like that. But you guys ask the most intelligent questions on a regular basis, and very few times do we get repeat questions. I just don't get it. You're so smart.
They are great questions. They are great questions.
Yeah. So props to all you guys. Cheers to all the smart people in the world. That's all you guys.
I'm not going to cheers to that because it's not me.
Oh, you're in that category, dude.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Taco Cat asks, thanks for answering my first question.
Is it palindrome?
Yes, it is indeed.
Whenever you say their name, I always hear Taco Cat, and in my head it goes, is a palindrome.
Yep.
Before you can repeat it. So
it's true.
We know who you are.
Oh, yeah. They say, may I ask if a single flare plug / tunnel is suitable as an initial septum piercing jewelry?
I'm sorry, you did ask that earlier, and I did not answer that. If you were to go that route, I'm going to suggest going with a glass single flare with not a huge flare on it, because you're talking about doing something slightly larger, and that flare could push up against the nostril, like the tip of your nose, and get it really, really raw. I tried wearing single flares in mine in the placement to where it was at. It just didn't work, but the glass was enough to make it work like that. Also, if you're going to be doing the glass, a lot of times you can order those in different lengths, long, short, medium. And for a septum, if it was pierced properly, you probably want the shortest plug you can possibly find. If you had like a metal single flare eyelet, it almost touches nostril to nostril, and it's really uncomfortable. Yep. You need something short and something specific for it. I also remember back in the day, one of the glass companies was making septum plugs. I don't know if they were a single flare or double flare or what the deal was, but
I don't remember
someone was. It's either glassware or Gorilla Glass, the two main OGs.
I'll take a look, see if I can dig something up. Would you consider like titanium, say septum retainers, for like initial? And I know I've seen people use. I've actually never done a large gauge septum, so
yeah.
But would you consider, like, if it's implant grade titanium, using just like a large gauge septum retainer?
Mm-hmm. I've pierced a lot of people with retainers, and it does work really, really well. The retainers are kind of like a little U shape or kind of like a staple shape, and you have to keep it flipped up all the time. Okay. The thing is when you have the metal or the pieces hanging down, the metal or the glass hanging down, all it takes is just a slight turn and the jewelry falls out and it's gone. When the jewelry's flipped up like this, it can't turn, therefore the jewelry won't fall out. But the thing is you're going to be paranoid about it because you're like, is the jewelry still in there? Like, oh yeah, a little tender, it's still there. So, but I highly suggest getting pierced with retainers. That works really, really nicely.
Yep, I agree.
Yep. I
agree. Nick says, why don't your live streams get uploaded anymore for rewatch?
Because I'm busy.
Kind of, but not. So we were previously getting them edited professionally, and I don't think we're doing that anymore.
No.
So we were pulling them down until they were edited, and then we were going to put them back up. But yeah, I think it's probably worth just putting them back up for now.
I think, we probably should.
But yeah, thanks for bringing us
absolutely
to our attention. We'll start getting those.
You know what? We'll start with this one.
Yeah,
all because of you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, we'll post this one right away.
Awesome.
Yep.
Let's see. Otaku Tester says, "Hey Scott, I'm going to get my tongue pierced. Does it erode at your teeth or gums at all? And when can we expect a split tongue on you?"
Did I say I was going to split my tongue?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I did. Okay. So the first part of the question was the tongue piercing and does it erode your teeth and your gums and da-da-da-da. If you play with it, hell yeah, it does. Don't play with your piercing. So many people get this piercing, and they can run it against their teeth, put it in front, and they bite down on it. You're ruining the enamel of your teeth. And just because you change to an acrylic or a plastic piece of jewelry doesn't make it better, because you can get gum erosion to where your teeth can eventually fall out. The most important thing about a tongue piercing is that you downsize when you can to where it fits comfortably in your mouth and you cannot play with it. I don't care that you can't play with it. I care more about your teeth than you playing with your tongue barbell.
Yes.
It's straight up. And then the second part is, when am I getting my tongue split? I don't like scalpels anymore. Straight up. After my earlobes were cut off, it's not a phobia. It's just, I don't want to deal with them anymore.
Yeah.
Scalpels are just, they're necessary, but they're not my friend.
Yes.
Does that mean I'm afraid?
No, I just think you've been scalpeled enough times to just be like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. So, yeah.
It sounds more experienced than afraid.
Because, I mean, like, I've had an onk cut into my arm. So it was a big onk, about that big, inner, outer, and then we rubbed ash and red tattoo ink in there, and that was a huge cutting and all the brandings. And then my earlobes, both of those had to be cut off, and that's 4 individual cuts through a lot of tissue. I've had my earlobes also scalpeled to go larger, so those were relief cuts. I've had 2 of those done. So I've been around the block with a scalpel, and I don't like the feeling. I like being branded.
Yep.
I'll brand my tongue before I cut my tongue. I don't think that's probably a good idea, but I'd do it.
Burn off all your taste buds.
Yeah. I hate sweet stuff. Where's the sweet section?
Yeah, right. Take it down. Take it down.
Yeah.
That's funny. Black Jade chiming in about their earlobe piercings. They said that they are a bit close, I assume, to cartilage now that my first lobes are stretched, but there is still room. On my right ear, I actually have a 3rd lobe / cartilage piercing. That's interesting. So it's just this one specific spot.
Did they say they have studs or rings?
They didn't.
I'm guessing it's a stud.
Me too.
Put rings in there. Put rings in there. I bet you'll see a difference within a couple weeks.
Yeah, give that a try.
Yeah. If your other one stretched, it obviously did too. And the thing is if you already have, they said 0 or 00 plugs, something like that. So if you have jewelry next to that 00, if you're sleeping on it, that jewelry's not twisting, contorting, and it's being almost protected by the other plug. If you put a ring in there, there's going to be more movement, and it probably should loosen up.
Awesome.
Scott logic.
Yes.
Makes sense to you guys, but it does to me.
I did respond in the comments, but Jen asked if we had any recommendations for shops or piercers in the Baltimore area. Yes, I have 2 personal friends out there, actually. The first is a little bit outside of Baltimore. Matt Bonatono owns an amazing shop called Freya, Piercing and Fine Jewelry.
Bonatono?
Yep, Matt Bonatono.
I wish I had that last name. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. He's an awesome dude, fellow power lifter.
Cool.
And Freya is like one of the most beautiful shops in the country. So I would definitely...
For now.
Yeah, right. well, yeah, it still will be one of them, just not the, because that will be ours. You can also go to Fidelity Tattoo Company. I believe Sydney is there, and she's great. My friend Dan Chan used to work there. I don't think he's there anymore, but Sydney's fantastic. And
there you go.
Cool. Let's see.
Right.
Frederick said, got my Apprenticeship done in January. Ended up with an irritation bump, and the bump goes up and down in size. But every time it swells, there's a small amount of discharge. Is this something to worry about?
There's a joke there, and I'm not going to do it. Apprenticeships can take a long, long time to really, really heal. An appendice, once you're healed up enough, there's a really annoying motorcycle out there right now. It's not like a Harley. It's just a little... Okay, dirt bike. Anyways, if you have too long of a bar, there's going to be movement happening, and that movement could be causing the irritation. So once you are erect, you should have those beads snug, sometimes almost tucking in a little bit. I like some of the pictures back in the day look like a third of the bead is inside. You want it to be that tight where there's no movement, and that should probably make it a lot more comfortable for you. Did they say how long they've had the Apprenticeship?
Done in January, so that's what,
you
10,
should be
10 months.
Yeah. I'm curious about the gauge. Sometimes if you got pierced with a thinner gauge, like a 14 gauge, it might be too thin for you, and you might want to think about stretching it up, which is not real pleasant, but it'll be much more comfortable in the long run. I personally won't even pierce Apprenticeships anything less than a 10 gauge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Frederick, I would consider maybe going back to your piercer to get checked out or getting a second opinion from another piercer.
Mm-hmm. And again, like once you get an erection, see how much bar sticks out, figure out the length of the bar, subtract that, and maybe getting the right size bar will probably be a big difference. Every little fraction of an inch or millimeter of an inch makes a difference. Millimeter of an inch.
Yes.
Everyone's laughing. This guy's an idiot.
I like that. A millimeter of an inch. That's funny. Patient Zero said, I just stretched my septum to a 4 gauge and lobes to a 2 gauge.
Sweet.
That's
2
awesome.
gauge is a good size. I love 2 gauge.
I agree.
I think that's the first time I ever felt like, God, this is really starting to look big.
Yeah, it is.
2/0, but yeah, 2's great. And then 4 gauge on the septum.
Real cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have a little tender nose for a little bit, but yeah, that's pretty rad.
Truly, when I feel like 2 gauge is like exactly like you say, where you're like, oh, this is real.
It's the first time you look at it and go, it does look big.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see. Jen said she's the one that asked about a place in Baltimore. She said, I had a bad experience getting my septum pierced years ago. I got pierced with a 16 gauge. The piercer tried shoving in 14 gauge jewelry and ended up needing to re-pierce me again within 20 minutes. Big yikes.
God.
I've got a story if you're interested in hearing it for something
Bring
along
it.
those
What do you
lines
got?
that I did as an apprentice actually. So I was learning how to do nipple piercings, and this was on a client. I think it was my 3rd or 4th set of nipple piercings. And,
As a piercer or as an apprentice?
This was as an apprentice.
Okay.
And so we had somebody who we knew that was a client, not a friend necessarily, but somebody who worked in the same
Makes
plaza
it a
that we were
little
friends with. Yep. And yeah, so I don't know what I was thinking, but I was piercing the nipples at a 12 gauge. And for whatever reason, well, I do know. So I was using a 14 gauge threaded taper. So in my brain, I was just like, oh, this is 14 gauge. So I ended up putting a 14 gauge needle, 14 gauge taper, and 12 gauge jewelry in the in the Septum. I'm sure Scott can guess what happened, but I did the piercing. It actually turned out pretty well, and I was trying to transfer the jewelry, and as soon as that jewelry got up to the nipple, it just stopped, like boom, like a gate shut. And I just remember looking at my mentor, and he immediately knew what I did. But I was like, oh no, what do I do? I kind of looked at him like, what do I do? And yeah, he was like, he's like, you're, get it through. So that is what we tried to do. It did go through.
It hurts, but
it did hurt. Yeah. We like talked to her about it and stuff, and she's like, yeah, that's fine. We did end up having to pull it. It did not, a couple days and weeks later, it was looking bad. So we did end up pulling it and redoing it, for her. But yeah, that happened to me. But I did it by accident.
That's scary when that happens. And
Oh
yeah. Luckily, I have a shop which has virtually all the sizes of jewelry.
Truly.
And we run really, really fast autoclaves. So in a bad situation, it's like, I messed up. I think we're going to put a 14 in you. If you really wanted that 12, you might want to come back in about like 4 to 6 months and we'll stretch you. And granted, I would do it for free because I messed up. But yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
it happens. We're human.
That would have been great. Yeah, at the time we didn't have we didn't have 14 gauge straight barbells. We exclusively did nipples and bridges and stuff like that at 12.
I think most piercers know that feeling. You go to do the transfer and it should just go, oh, it's in, and you go.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, uh-oh. That's the exact face that I made. I just kind of looked up like, oh, please help. Yeah, that was real funny. Awesome.
So if you're piercing yourself at home, what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, you're tough. You're in a tough spot.
Push. You're not getting it through.
We did just get a donation from Luna de Blue for $5. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luna.
We appreciate that very much. Their question says, hi, do orbital piercings have to be very big rings, or can we have smaller ones? Most of the ones that I see on the internet are very big.
Big heels. The only way you can really ever get away with a small ring, and what I mean by small would be anything. I have done 3/8 of an inch captive bead rings or circular barbells on helixes that are so thin, like paper thin, and I was able to get those to heal. But generally, the 7/16 half-inch minimum is kind of what I like to do. As far as like anything smaller than that, most people have existing healing piercings and you're able to make it work if they happen to be lined up, or you already have one and you're doing something simple into like maybe a thin lobe, then you can get away with smaller stuff. But for the most part, they generally need to be bigger. I would do 7/16 should be like the minimum, which is 11 millimeters. Does that sound about right?
Give me 1 second. Use my cheat sheet.
If I'm learning.
11 millimeters. Yep. Look at you learning non-freedom units.
I am so smart. SMRT.
I love that.
No, wait.
I love that. I love The Simpsons. Our friend Sparkling Design or Divine said, gentlemen, in your opinion, what type of ring, nose, helix, or tragus is the best not to fall out? So
what type of ring is best not to fall out?
Yep, I think they're asking about like what style of jewelry do we like for nose, helix, or tragus piercings.
Okay. So that's such a good question. God, you guys are awesome. Okay, so there's a couple different. Let's get back to the drawing board. I didn't bring a napkin to wipe, so I have a. There we go. All right. So to start off with, we're gonna have captive bead ring, circular barbell, seam ring, clicker, segment ring.
I do want to say,
did I miss one?
I'm just not 100% sure she's specifically like truly talking about rings. I think maybe just jewelry in general.
What type of jewelry?
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if you were specifically talking about rings or you're going to add librettes and stuff, like threadless stuff in there too.
Oh no, I was only talking librettes. Okay, or rings. I'm sorry. And then there's just drawing this fanciness and then there's entertain yourselves. I'll be ready here in just a second.
What's everybody's favorite piercing? Drop it in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah, I need to stop drawing because I can keep coming with more jewelry if I want.
Yeah, these are the basic ones, though.
Okay, so we're going to start off with a captive bead ring. This is a ring that is like a C, and it pinches on a bead that has two dimples, so it's held in by pressure. These generally don't ever fall out. I'm going to go over how the jewelry works, what my favorites ones are. Next is a circular barbell. That's where the beads screw onto the ends. It looks like a bowl ring. You have to check these beads once in a while and make sure they stay tight. Next is going to be a seam ring. You can see there's a tiny little gap in the top, and the whole theory is you twist the ring to the side, you twist it back, and therefore it stays in place. Next thing is going to be a clicker where there's a hinge, so that actually kind of like it opens and clicks shut, hence the name clicker.
Yep, more like a traditional earring.
Yep. And then last type of ring we have is called a segment ring, which are kind of rare. It's same thing as a captive bead ring, but instead of putting a bead in there, you have another bar shape, which makes it look completely seamless. So this little bar is held in by pressure, and these you cannot take in or out yourself. You need help getting these in and out. Now, as far as wearing a ring goes, my personal favorite, the most secure hands down, is going to be this one, because it's like you can't get it in or out yourself. It's not going to do anything. This is going to be the next secure, but you're going to have the bead to deal with. The circular barbell works really, really phenomenal as well, but they come loose once in a while. Segment rings, or seamless rings like this, I should say, are dangerous because that little gap and the skin can close up and it can cause irritation. These rings, the hinged clickers, generally work well, but the hinge can come undone and it could fall out. So if I was saying a ring, my favorite style would be this, but it's a pretty rare one. Now, as far as getting pierced with, you also have three types of studs to get pierced with as well. You have internally threaded jewelry. You see how the bead has threads coming off of it and it screws into the post. The next one is externally threaded jewelry where there's a hole in the bead and it screws onto the post. The post has threads on there, so that's gonna be like a file, scratching, irritating, grabbing all the tissue as it goes through. Not very cool. And the other cool one is a threadless piece of jewelry. Instead of having threads coming off the bead, it's just a pin with a small bend, and it pushes into the post and it's held in by pressure. So, of all things to get pierced with, personally, non-oral piercings, this is my personal favorite. Anything inside the mouth, like a tongue piercing, tongue web, smiley, I would do something that's going to be threaded. Don't do the threadless. As far as rings go, when you get pierced with a ring, the only rings I'd ever really pierce with is going to be like a doth piercing, maybe a septum piercing, and I would stick to one of these two styles. Anything you want to add, Nova?
No, I think you covered it.
All right.
Awesome.
Cool. Hopefully that works for you.
Yes, indeed.
Great
Good question. This is also a good question. Camille asks, hi, I was wondering how you guys chose the style of your overall piercings. Parentheses, all silver, all gold, natural stone, etc. There are so many options. What was the process for your own curating?
Well, I don't count.
No?
You have no idea how much jewelry I have. Over 30 some years, I've thrown away mason jars full of jewelry. Sometimes like, oh, I want to have all titanium blue. Oh, I want to have this. Oh, I only want to have black gems. Oh, I only want spikes. Oh, I only want opals. Oh, I only need rings. And then I change the setups at the same time. So because of that, it's kind of fun. You know, after a couple of years, you're like, I think I'm bored. Change up your jewelry. It refreshes everything, gives you another whole boost on the excitement of having piercings.
Absolutely.
Now, as far as the gold goes, the reason I wear gold, I love it now, but it was a business choice. If you're a piercer and you sell gold, you will sell a lot more gold if you're wearing it and people can see how good it looks.
It does look so good.
It's just, you know, and it's like, it was, like I said, it was a business move, and I was like, I'll just do it, whatever. But then when I put it in, I was just like, oh, crap, this looks so good. This is going to cost me a lot of money.
Yep.
And thousands later.
There you are.
Yep.
There you are.
So that's how I do it. As far as the gold goes, I'm terrible at this part, but the tonality of your skin. Some people have more. Do you know how this is worded? Rose gold, white gold, and yellow gold.
So generally speaking, what they say is like if you have more redness in your skin, then you should lean towards white gold and away from rose gold and yellow gold. I personally don't follow that rule. I do have redness in my skin, and I like yellow gold.
I feel like I do too. I have redness.
Yeah, we have. I think we're pretty close to the same.
Yeah.
But with that being said, white gold or silver does look really cool on me, because because of the contrast between the redness, and or the little bit of redness and the bright color, the bright silver color. So I don't think about it as much as you may think that I do whenever I figure out my own stuff. For the most part, I base it on what jewelry looks really cool. If there's a new style that comes out or something in particular that I really like, I'm just kind of like, I'll put that somewhere. I'll find a place to put it. But I don't really sit down and like map it out as much as I just sort of find jewelry that I like and then figure out where I'm going to stick it. Mm-hmm. For the most part, I do try to coordinate with gems. I've had many different phases. I had a yellow, gold, and amethyst phase. I had a white opal phase. Right now, I'm in a surprisingly enough, I'm rocking a lot of CZ, which I honestly didn't expect. But there's some really cool stuff that's been coming out, especially from one of my favorite companies called Ember. They're local. Shout out to Ryan from Ember Body Jewelry.
What up, Ryan? He's
also a piercer. And yeah, some of the ends that they have are just so astoundingly awesome. And I got them at conference this year. I saw the ends and I was like, those can go in my nostrils. And I saw like another set and I'm like, I can put those in my forward facing nostrils. And, that's what I've got from Ember so far. I've got an Ember nose.
And in my head, there's a lot of confusion about white gold. And what I mean by that is I feel like other people think like, well, if I have just steel in there, why am I going to upgrade to white gold? It's going to look the same. It doesn't. The luster on white gold is insane compared to steel or titanium. It's true. If you put one white gold piece in, and be careful because as soon as you do it, you're going to be like, oh crap. It does look better. He was right.
It's like the difference between CZ and genuine diamond.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
CZ looks great until you see the genuine diamond and go,
yeah, damn it. I hate that it is worth it.
Yes.
That's funny.
And here's the other thing. If you love it, wear it. Who cares what anyone else says?
Agreed.
If I feel better wearing giant pink bunny ears down the road and it makes me feel better, that's what I'm going to wear.
Yeah, rock it.
Rock it, be proud, wear it and show it off, and it becomes part of you, but at the same time, being the devil's advocate, I've gotten more pink t-shirts this year, and I've never worn pink in my life, and I get so many compliments like, you look so good in pink. You know what? I'm wearing a lot more pink t-shirts now.
There you go.
So I'm influenced by what people say. So sometimes people are like, you look so good in blue opals. Yeah, start
cool. Yeah,
blue opals.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's worth doing. But yeah, I think way less about it than maybe other people do. Otaku Tester said Scott looks like Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse, and I love it.
Ooh, my neck is just too thin for that one, man. That dude's got a neck as big as his body. Corpse, see?
I think we were just talking about Scott looking like this.
I can't believe
you
brought that up. I get to so much.
Yeah,
I'll be walking down the road. Bam, bam. Bam, bam, Bigelow.
Yeah, Scott and I were considering quitting the piercing industry, and him being
go back to that picture.
Him being a oops, sorry.
That same, stir, trying to hold the pose and look cool. There
you go.
Little shaving, kind of shaped. Yeah,
It's true, but yeah, Scott and I were considering quitting piercing, and I'm going to be an Undertaker impersonator, and Scott's going to be a Bam Bam impersonator. So
Work the streets of Vegas.
right. Somebody asked how the new shop was going. That's how the new shop's going. No, it's been awesome.
It's been fantastic.
Keela says, "Hey there. What's better water temperature for rinsing a new piercing with a bump? Warm or cold?" Neither,
Warm.
ideally.
Warm to room temperature, like heat's going to cause more swelling and whatnot, but a little bit of heat's also going to draw things out. Because if you have a bump, you have irritation, you should try to draw that fluid out a little bit. But too much heat is going to cause more irritation and cause the bump to get bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, room temperature is kind of the best. Room to warm, if that.
So I would say, I'm going to interject a little bit.
Sure.
And say that I think for rinsing, for the most part, you should be using sterile saline. If you are looking to draw fluid out of the bump, then I would recommend like a hot compress. But I think that those two applications are slightly different.
Can you reread the question for me, please?
Sure. They said, "What's the better water temperature for rinsing a new piercing with a bump, warm or cold?" So I think they're saying like to clean it off as opposed to using sterile saline. I know a lot of people use hot water in the shower, and that definitely does work. But it definitely is. We do see better outcomes when people use sterile saline as opposed to just rinsing in the shower. Would you agree with what I said?
For the most part, the big thing is just not to over clean it. And the question I have is, why do you have the bump?
Yes.
Did it get caught on a towel? Are you sleeping on it? Is it the right size jewelry? You know, if you don't address that situation first, the bump won't ever go away. So if it's just an irritation bump, just regular everyday thing, and just wipe away the crusties, and it should go away on its own. So.
Awesome.
Yep. How are we doing for time? I lost track.
Good. We're at an hour and 15 minutes, so we still got a little time left.
Sweet.
Camille says, "Thoughts on coin slots?"
Coin slots?
Yep.
I think they're pretty darn rad, and I would love to get two of them. One on each side. I'm probably going to have Steve Truitt do it back sometime in the future here. I just got to commit and do it, you know? So.
But yeah, Scott, you have a video on coin slots, don't you?
I do, and I just realized I have some interview stuff from Steve Truitt I need to edit too. So
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Behind schedule.
That's all right. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Coin slots are great. They heal way faster than helixes, normal cartilage piercings. I've heard nothing but good things about them.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard any negative. Have you heard negative?
Not really.
It's a permanent thing. I mean, you're not going to be able to really close it that easily. I mean, you might be able to. A surgeon probably could just sew the skin to, but yeah.
Yeah, I know people that are like, yeah, I can't heal helix piercings, so I got a coin slot.
Heard that last week. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, Scott has a video on coin slots, so if you have any questions about
check it out. Yes.
Pirelli said, "How long would it take to reach the stretching of those septums in the shadow box behind you? Like how many years before you reach that size?"
The widest point of right about here is probably about 1.5 inches. Okay. Those are the tops of shells, so they are super, super thin. So I would have to probably do some crazy math equation to figure out what size a flat 1.25 inches would be in a rounder diameter, but I'm guessing it's probably 3/4 inch at least. I don't know what the math would be. All I know is there's going to be like something's multiplied times pi or divided by pi from round to flat and surface. I'm not a mathematician. If I had to guess, probably a minimum of 3/4, maybe even 1 inch.
Yep, and years that it
They're
would take.
Huge.
Yeah, that would take a lot of years to do safely.
You see these things? They are super, super rad. There we go.
Yep. So for everyone watching, those actually go through your septum.
Yep, middle of your nose. And you can see the size of my head. It would be huge.
Sweet, though.
Pretty rad.
So cool.
No way I'm going to be able to hang that back up.
That's all right. We'll get it after.
Yeah.
Patient Zero said, I've had my nipples pierced twice, retired both times, and now I want to do it again. Is it okay to go horizontal again, or would vertically...
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, right? Or would vertically be better to prevent complications?
Nah. Get what you want. I mean, if the piercing rejected out and you have a bunch of scar tissue that way, it has a higher chance of rejecting out again. So if it didn't reject out and you want it in the same spot, just go for it. Not a problem at all.
Yep, agreed.
Yep. Might hurt a little bit more, but I mean, the technology with needles and all these things, I mean, if you've had it done twice, you've had it done probably a couple of years ago, I'm guessing. So it might even be better, it might even be easier.
Yep, it's true.
Yep.
The third time piercing my nipple was actually the easiest.
Really?
So who knows? Yeah, by far.
Cool.
But it was also the first time I ever pierced my nipple with a katana needle, so that could have had something to do with it also.
You mean going to a quality piercer made a huge difference?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the second time it was with it was like an IS needle.
And we used to use IS needles, industrial strength. You know, they have sharp ass needles and slick ass needles, and I loved them forever. But I'm a bigger fan of the katanas.
They're just that much better. Truly, truly awesome. MZ says, "Hey Scott and Nova, excited to catch one of these live. I'm hoping to have a custom niobium piece from Interstellar in my Rook. Cool. Another shout out to Interstellar.
Oh yeah.
It's been almost a year, but still get some crusties. Should I wait longer to change jewelry, or should it be okay if I'm careful? Careful about taking extra care of the piercing after the jewelry change. Not that I would change myself.
The big factor I would say is make sure you're done with crusties, because if you're putting an Interstellar piece in there, it's going to be some sort of a ring. Most likely, and that can have movement, and you don't want to pull the crusties inside. Also, the ring might stick out a little bit, so you should be able to sleep on it fairly easily. I would want it to be pretty darn fully healed.
Yeah, I agree. I would also say a year is pretty long for
you should be good.
Yeah. I would maybe get it, go back to your piercer to have it looked at. Crusties after a year, it's not unheard of, but for a Rook, that's a little on the longer side, I feel like.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Scott?
Rook, I'd say expect 6 months to a year to heal.
Yeah.
If you got pierced with a ring, sometimes it's over a year.
Yes, indeed. Frederick was talking about the, I think it was an Operdavia that had an irritation bump.
Yep.
And they said bump was caused by a stretch done with too short of a bar, has been corrected, and currently at a 6 gauge. Pierced at HTC North in Phoenix. And
cool.
Piercers both say it looks okay. That's awesome. Actually, I believe my girlfriend works at the Uptown location. I don't know who's at North, but I trust them very much.
Yeah, you're in good hands. Just if it was stretched and then too short of a bar, yeah, that's why you have the bump, and it's just going to take a little bit of time once it calms down. So
awesome. Yeah,
cool.
Take a look and see who's there. I'm curious. Baby Eater says, "Oh my God, yes, finally caught alive. We're happy to have you, Baby Eater."
Baby Eater, everyone's welcome here.
Yes, indeed. That reminds me of
Baby Eater, a metalhead. You think?
Could be.
Possibly.
Do you remember the
metalhead? Yes.
Oh, haha.
I didn't mean to do that at all.
Do you remember that girl that came into the shop and she had a shirt that said "Treat people with respect," and I thought it said "Eat people," and I was like, "Does your shirt say "Eat people"? Like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen." She's like, "No, it doesn't. It says treat people with respect." I was like, "Oh, it'd be pretty cool if it said eat people." But
when you're not shy and you just open your mouth before you really assess the whole situation.
Yeah.
Does your shirt say eat people? No.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Oh.
Awesome. Let me keep it rolling. Oops.
Are we still live? Did you just turn us off? Are we still live?
We're good. Yeah, we're good. We're back. Sorry, that was my fault. I definitely clicked the wrong button.
He's like, yeah.
But yeah, we're live again.
I saw the screen blank for a second. I was like, I guess we're done.
That's funny. Nick says, "I'm looking to do something different with an industrial piercing. After years, I've grown bored of just a bar. Any ideas for other piercings that would complement industrial holes with hoops, perhaps?"
Chains.
Yeah, I love chains.
Chains are the answer. Chains, can you show a picture of industrial chain?
Yeah,
get some ideas here. You can do multiple chains. They can be tight. They can go around. You can do chains wrapping around your ear front and back to look like hoops. As far as complementing the piercing, depending on how low your industrial is, sometimes you can do an orbital around the industrial if you're up for another year-long healing process. But yeah, chains seem to be the answer. It gives it another whole vibe.
Yes. Agreed.
Completely. You know, and then you get bored with the chain, you go back to another bar, maybe to change up the colors. Change up the colors.
Ha. But yeah.
Oh man, look at how thin that industrial's in the middle there. Industrial.
Ugh.
The Amazon higher.
Oh, this
No, the left.
Oh wow.
All those, yeah.
Look at these. That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, so chains. That's kind of the answer.
Agreed.
Orbital around an industrial is kind of fun. Maybe a vertical helix on top, so you have like a spike coming up on top of it. A hidden conch piercing. So if you have like a normal helix and then you have a hidden conch behind it, and you have like maybe a little chain kind of dropping down. So I don't know. There's a lot of fun things you can do. It's just chains are so rad. I'm really surprised they got as big as they did, because they were around for a year or two. All the piercers had them, and no one else got them. And now everyone wants them. So
yeah, everyone wants them. I remember when the whole chain gang thing started.
Yeah. I was late to that party too.
Yeah.
So don't it's not like, oh, I was way cooler than everyone else. No, I'm years behind the thing on that one.
I will say I was in it from the beginning. I had the nostril to earlobe chain the moment it happened. I was about it. I went to conference once and was like, yep, this is my personality now.
I wish that would come back.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's cool. Very cool. Oh yeah, so the Frederick, you were talking about HTC North. I know my friend Josh Duncan is there. He's an amazing piercer. I would trust him with like my family. So if he says it's cool, then most likely you just need a little bit more time.
Yep.
So yeah, I trust everybody there for sure.
I like that phrase. I trust him with my family. It's a pretty bold statement. Yeah, I like that.
There are piercers that I'll send people to. But there are also piercers that I would that I trust very deeply, and he is one of those people.
Like if I said something like, I trust you with my life, like you do a lot of really reckless things though, but I really love my family, so I trust.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Otaku Tester says, ever play World of Warcraft, Scott?
It wasn't my game. I tried for a while and I just couldn't get into the vibe of it. For a little while there, I was playing City of Heroes and City of Villains, which is kind of the same concept, but a superhero aspect. And I love that game, and I was so sad when it went away. I don't know why I just never got into the World of Warcraft thing. I'm really bad at video games. I love playing them, but I'm just terrible. And when there's that many buttons and that many things, I just fail. So wasn't my game.
That's so funny you mentioned City of Heroes and stuff. I remember being desperate to play it when I was younger, because I used to get PC Gamer magazine, but I didn't have a PC that could run anything. And I remember looking at City of Heroes and City of Villains and being like, oh my God, I have to play this. And when I got older, I wanted to, and they had already shut down the servers. I was like, no.
So I learned something about myself when I was playing City of Heroes and City of Villains, that I'm what they call an alt-aholic.
Okay.
That means I love starting new characters, and they had the best character development building. You can build superheroes with so many different costumes and ideas and themes and da-da-da. And I had so many characters, and none of them were above a 20, but I had 50 of them, and it was just.
That's awesome though.
Altaholic. I just constantly alt characters. And yeah.
I mean, when you have a system that's that fun, that's it's fun to do.
It was really fun building those characters and personalities, and yeah.
For what it's worth, I have been playing Skyrim since its launch in 11/11/11, and I still haven't beaten the main quest because I constantly make new characters.
You got the same thing that I got.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
It's oh, well, I can't finish this until like my character's badass, and then
it never gets to that point because you started. Yeah, this next one will be even more, and it's
exactly. Exactly. Angela says, as someone from Spain, I'm glad that you also mentioned measurements and metric system. We do try, Angela. It's not our forte, but we do our best.
And here's the thing. I'm a little bit older of a piercer, and all of us here in America who are older piercers, we never used any metric. It was all the imperial system. I hate that name. It makes us sound like we're so much better than ever. Imperial, But using fractions, it took forever to learn them. And now that it's stuck in my head, I don't know my general, metric.
Same.
But I would say the last 10 to 15 years, 10 years generation of piercers, most of them know more metric than they do the actual imperial or the fractions.
It's true.
So I'm kind of in the middle. So I'm really good at fractions and not so good at the metric, but I try. But the only reason I can kind of do it is because it makes sense. The imperial system sucks and it's stupid.
That's awesome.
Argue with me on that one. It's stupid.
Right. I agree.
You need a 13, 30 seconds, and then you need to add shut up.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. What is 13, 30 seconds? 10 millimeter. That's much easier.
Yeah.
It's
What's one size smaller than 13, 30 seconds? 9 millimeter.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, right. That's funny. Let's see. Chip Douglas.
What's up, Chip?
Chip has some pretty cool news. He said, "Hey y'all, I've actually got some pretty exciting news. I found an awesome mentor and started an apprenticeship a few weeks ago.
My man,
that's amazing. Who is it, and where are you going to be working out of? Definitely let us know, and we'll."
Chip has come up and let me pierce him now. I think a couple times, and just good guys. Always in the Chip Douglas, and that's from Chip Douglas, Cable Guy. Isn't that the Cable Guy, the Jim Carrey movie? That was I think that's where he got the name from, Chip Douglas. So
love it,
if I remember right.
Love it.
Yeah, good to have you here. Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that. I really am.
Sparkling Divine said, "You guys are awesome. I might have to sub now." Winky face, but for real, love the drawings.
I haven't said that. Thank you so much. Hit subscribe. We'd love it if you did. We won't even charge you.
That's true.
Free today.
Yeah.
Right now, for the next 5 minutes, hit subscribe before you get charged. God, if that worked, that'd be great.
Yeah, it would.
I also tried the bully thing for a while, like, subscribe!
Oh, that's awesome.
Or else.
Yeah, right? I like that one better.
Please.
We'll try them all. We're desperate. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just glad you're all here. That's what's important to me.
Yeah, we have so much fun doing these. Thank you guys for coming to hang with us always.
You can't tell, can you?
LR brings up a really cool point. They were talking about the other difference between white gold and titanium is the cool ornate ends that you can find in gold don't really exist in titanium, right? And that is definitely true. Gold is a much softer metal and much easier to manipulate and create.
Get those details.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do some shapes in titanium, but you can't do a lot.
Yep.
And it's gold. You can mold whatever you want.
Yep. You can get pretty much as intricate as you can imagine with gold. Titanium, there are definitely limits.
We just got this sample piece of this tiny bee in gold, and I have to put my glasses on just to see the details of this little bee thing.
It's true. It's crazy.
It's insane. Yeah.
It is truly crazy.
Yep.
Salma. Hey, Salma.
Hi.
She said, "Hey, Scott. I just recently got my first rook, conch, and triple lobes. I'm considering getting a helix and tragus to finish it out. What are your opinions?"
Heal them up first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Say
in general, you don't want to be healing too much just because each piercing you get is considered an open wound for quite some time, actually. And the more you get, your immune system's like a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. And they keep getting weaker and weaker as it gets spread out through your body. And eventually, you're more prone to infection because they're longer open wounds. They're not healing like they're supposed to. They're more prone to bumps. So I don't like to have more than 4 or 5 piercings healing on the body at once. So give it a couple months, heal some things up, and then move on to the other ones. But I highly encourage you to get more piercings.
Yes, indeed. Let's see. LR also said, "Oh, Scott, if you get coin slots, would you please consider documenting the process and the healing? I want one so bad. It would be so helpful to have that as a resource."
I will talk to Steve when he does it, and we'll see what he allows for that to happen. I'm totally okay with it. It's up to him what he feels comfortable with. Should be fine. We'll figure some stuff out.
Yeah, should be fine for sure.
What are you looking? Don't answer that.
You'll know. There was something that a phrase that I wasn't familiar with, but we'll get there. Marvin chiming in about the warmer water. He was saying warmer water will pull more blood to the area and thus pushing impurities out. So yeah, exactly. We really like warm water or warm sterile saline for hot compresses to sort of draw that extra fluid out.
Not too hot, though. That's the thing. Hot, warm. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Kilgara says, "Hello. This might be a ridiculous question, but do septum piercings, in parentheses not stretched, 16 or 14 gauge, tend to cause the nose slash col. I'm gonna struggle with this word.
Collagen?
Columella.
Columella, okay.
To fall slash droop down. What metals would you recommend to prevent this?
Damn it. Okay. You're asking a question I don't have a super, super solid answer on, but I do remember something about that, how there's a risk of a septum of something
It's essentially just like the tip of the nose, like
droops a little tiny bit because you're taking away some of the integrity of that holds the nose together. Yes, a little bit. I have never personally noticed it in 30 plus years. I'm trying to really think of, and I've never had anyone say, "Hey, does my nose look more droopy, or has this actually happened?" So,
so I know that it happens. It can happen with rhinoplasty or like plastic surgery on your nose. So I'm wondering if it's something that maybe is brought over from there, but it's more just something that piercers talk about to keep an eye out for. Because I also have never heard of an instance of it.
Well, I don't remember my nose ever being the way it is now. Since I had my septum stretched to a 0, I can push my nose super flat, and I never was able to do it like that before. I don't know if you can tell or not, but it's definitely softer there. But yeah,
interesting.
I'm really glad they can't see the screen you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm doing research now, but we'll get there.
It's a little distracting.
Sorry. So I don't think necessarily that there's a certain metal that would cause this or prevent this.
It's the actual piercing.
Yeah, it's the actual piercing and just the structural integrity of your nose. Most likely you're fine. Like I say, I've never heard of an instance of this happening with a septum piercing.
It's been 5 or 10 years since I've heard about that. I haven't heard anything since. So it's something that's kind of floating on the internet. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. You stumped me. Point for you.
Yeah, but we can check into that to see if that's something that happens or if it's just something that gets talked about online.
It's not a serious concern. Otherwise, more people would be talking about it. Septums are way too popular for it not to be a bigger subject if it's a serious danger.
Agreed. Sparkling Divine asks, how long have y'all been piercing? Or how long have you guys been piercing? Sorry.
I've been piercing since 1994. So what is that, like 10 years? 11 years?
Nope. I was born in 1994.
Okay.
So I can tell you that it's been a little bit longer than that.
30 plus years, 31 years, somewhere around there is what I've been at.
Yep.
I didn't have a good apprenticeship. I was rushed through everything, and I started messing people up. I somehow landed a job at a legendary shop called St. Sabrina's after a couple of years. Started seeking out more education. Then I did the Gauntlet seminars, the Fakir intensives, learned about the APP, became an APP member, started doing all the APP classes, and that's kind of where I have come to where I am now.
Yep.
Nova, what's your story?
So I started in the industry in 2017. I was a piercer for a while. I did an apprenticeship. And then I actually left the industry and recently came back. I do still pierce on occasion, but I'm more of a operations and management role these days than actually piercing people. But I've been in the industry since 2017, so however long that is.
Yep. You found that happy middle mix.
Yeah, I really like it. I left the industry to actually work in tech. And found a lot of enjoyment and passion there, and I was sort of able to combine my two passions, and it's been really great. So yeah, but yeah, I've been in the industry since 2017 and learning and thinking about piercing since then.
Yeah, Piercing Vegas needed social media, general manager, jewelry manager, someone who knew all that stuff. And we brought Nova on, and then it's just I was like, hey, dude, I need an IT guy to kind of help me run my channel for piercing too. And we kind of gave him a crash course on how to learn how to use the majority of the stuff. But I mean, it's video, and you have an audio background, so it's kind of the same. It's just buttons in different spots almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
more lighting.
Yeah. I learned a lot. I've learned a lot about lighting in video. Kella says, I got my rook pierced the 1st of November and a bump started to form the week after. It swelled and hurts a lot, but after 5 days it stopped hurting, but the bump got bigger and looks bloody. I got it downsized 2 days ago and the bumps look worse, but there's no pain whatsoever.
Yep. When you say it looks bloody, sometimes you're going to see bumps that I legally can't really define, because basically, I think what it is like it's some sort of a cyst of some sort where something gets inside there, whether there's a small hair, ingrown hair, piece of dirt, dust, crusty got pulled inside there. The body kind of creates a cyst around it and it pushes it out. A lot of times it looks like a blood blister coming out. And whenever you see something that's softer and looking like a blood blister, in my experience, I generally see them 3 to 4 times before they go away. So you're going to get it to probably go away, or it might pop, it might come back, go away, back and forth. Best thing to do is like those hot compresses or warm compresses, keep cleaning it. Don't naturally try to pop it on its own because it's trying to come out. If it pops too early, the body has to create another cyst and kind of try to push it back out again. Yep. To my understanding, that's what's going on there. I've never seen one of those blood blister things. It goes away and it stays away. You'll see it a couple times, so don't let it freak you out. But they do go away.
Yep.
Yep.
And if you do have concerns, feel free to go back to your piercer. And again, if you want a second opinion, we're happy to provide people that might be close to you.
Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of bumps that happen to piercing. Most of the time, they're just irritation bumps. Your case sounds like an irritation got inside there and it's trying to get rid of it. So just be patient.
Awesome.
Yep.
Pirelli says, gonna say this now because you probably won't stream next Wednesday, but happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see y'all in December for my first YouTube piercing with Kelsey.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy holidays to everyone who's watching, whether you get together with your family, your friends, if you're in another country and it's just another day. Happy day to you, too.
Happy day to everyone.
It's not Thanksgiving everywhere. We got to remember that. It's just here in America.
It's true.
America.
It's true. Frederick, chiming in about the Operdavia, said he's met Ariel. Cool. JD is his piercer. Awesome. JD's cool.
Good.
He really knows what he's doing. He's a great piercer. I don't know him personally, but I've heard really good things. He said that he has a dorsal frenum and a regular frenum. We'll be adding more. And that's what I was Googling. I was actually not familiar with what a dorsal frenum was.
Is that just one towards the tip of the head?
So a dorsal frenum is actually like the
top side?
It's an abnormality in the it's a very rare penile anomaly. So it doesn't happen too often. But yeah, they were asking about, or from my understanding from the research that I just did, he said that he wants to add more, but his piercer is surprised at like how well it's doing. He said, do you see many long-term dorsal frenum piercings? Mine is 5 years old now, and JD says in his experience they usually reject. So that's not actually something I can comment on. I was completely unfamiliar with even the
I'm
term
completely unfamiliar. That's 2 tonight.
Yeah.
Damn. What is the dorsal? Is it like a growth, or is it?
It's an abnormality. It's just like the way that the frenulum is shaped. I keep saying frenum, but it's a frenulum.
Yep.
The way the frenulum is shaped is just it's a little different. I can I don't know exactly how to describe it, but I was looking at pictures. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, let's not show it. If you want to look it up, you can look it up on your own. I'm not getting canceled for this.
Yep. So yeah, I would listen to JD on that. It sounds like he has more experience than we do.
I mean, from here, it's kind of far away. It looks like you were looking at Cadaver one. I was. Is this Lorraine Bobbitt thing you're looking at? What is? I'm trying to talk, and I'm just like,
Yeah, right. Just just looking some stuff up while at work.
My computer's now broken.
Yeah, right. Chip said, "Yep, the cable guy. My mentor's name is Madrid, and the shop is 7th Street Tattoo in Phoenix. I'm not familiar with them, but we'll definitely check it out. Congratulations."
Congratulations. Yes.
Marvin says, Chip Douglas. Remember that Jim Carrey acted out different shows in that movie? Chip comes from an old 60s TV show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I guess Chip said Chip and Ernie.
Okay.
So that's cool. My 3 sons.
Ah.
Love that.
We're learning all kinds of stuff here today.
Yes, we are. Amanda Tucker says, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting a double helix piercing at some point. I just got my it says I just got my fair stretched to a 16 gauge. I'm not exactly sure what that means.
Fair?
FAIR. I'm not sure. Maybe that piercing. And changed the jewelry to a clicker. So waiting for it to calm down. Could it be Doth? It's probably Doth. D-A, because there's an A and an I in there.
Okay.
Stretched, but it would be stretched to a 16 gauge. Yeah, I'm not sure.
From an 18 to a 16 is not that big of a stretch, but you don't want to have something that thin in the cartilage. It can be uncomfortable and cause problems long term, but don't stretch it during the healing process.
Yeah, agreed. I'm not exactly sure if you're talking about a DOF or not. So yeah, any lower than a 16 I wouldn't do. But oh yeah, she said DOF.
Not to throw Aaron under the bus, but he said he's done 18 gauge dots in the past and had really, really good luck with them. And normally I think like the 16 is better on the outside because that's the part of the ear that's twisting and contorting, and you want some surface so it doesn't rip or tear. But realistically, what's being pulled or pushed on the, so
nothing for the most part. I mean, I see an argument there.
Yeah, so I'm not saying it's completely bad, but generally most people do the 16s. You're going to have more options there. So if you're a piercer, let us know in the comments. Have you ever done an 18 gauge DOF? Or is it 16 and up?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Let's see. Black Jade said, what are your thoughts on D-ring jewelry for a conch?
No. D-ring jewelry is generally designed for bridge piercings or nipple piercings. A conch piercing is a thin piece of cartilage, and a D-ring. So funny. I'm getting ready to pull up. I'm like, I got to adjust the jewelry. What did I miss? I missed a D-ring.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So erase these studs here, and I'll draw a D-ring and a captive bead ring. So a D-ring is like so. Okay. So the whole premise for a D-ring is like this one here, where there's the straight part right here, and the straight part goes through the nipple, but generally that straight part is about 9/16, maybe 5/8 of an inch long. So the bar is going to be super long, but a conch is only like that. So you're going to have a lot of movement for that ring going up and down. Personally, any of the round ones going through the conch is probably going to be just fine. The general rule of thumb is you want to have a minimum of, let's see, 1/3 inside the piercing, 2/3 showing. So you can see this one right here. You see how like it's divided into 3 parts? You should have at least one of those parts inside and 2 of them showing. Now, the less you have inside there, the less curve you have and the more comfortable it's gonna be. So that's why I think if you went with just a normal clicker, captive bead ring, circular barbell, it's going to work better than the D-ring because the flat part of the D-ring is too long. Yeah.
There you go.
That being said, we're getting close here. We probably need to start winding this up soon, don't we?
Yeah, pretty soon.
Okay.
We've got a couple more questions. I figured would cover those.
Let's bring them on.
Salma asks, do you need to rinse off saline solution with fresh water? I've heard conflicting information whether it's fine to leave it or better to rinse the salt off.
I am going to say you do not rinse it off. I think most people are going to say that. The whole idea here is, yeah, it's salt water, and when it dries, you're going to leave salt particles all over your skin. When you sweat, it's the same salt. Do you have salt particles all over your skin after you sweat? You don't ever see salt chunks, anything like that. So that would be the concern, is that you're going to pull those little chunks inside the piercing. Yep. But it just dissolves with the rest of it. It really doesn't. It's not going to leave any residue behind.
I also want to add
saline solution.
Sorry.
Yeah,
exactly. I also want to add that washing it with fresh water after you use the sterile saline kind of defeats the purpose of it being sterile at all. So if you're just using fresh water after the saline, then you're putting water that isn't sterile on it. And the whole point of the sterile saline is that it's sterile. If we could just get sterile water from our sinks, then we wouldn't be using sterile saline. So yeah, I would say that it's definitely better to leave it on, but yeah.
So, and the same point here is, like, a lot of people like to use like these spray sterile salines, and they take it out and they spray it directly on a Q-tip and use that to wipe on the piercing. Your Q-tip, your hands went through there and touched it, so it's completely dirty. It wasn't sealed. It wasn't. So you're spraying sterile on something dirtier than this previously. Yeah.
Got it.
Was that a dorsal you just had up there?
Yes. So
That's an upper frenum.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So yeah, they called it a topside piercing, just the name I know it by, and I'm pretty sure they're referring to an upper frenum.
Yeah, I have done upper frenum piercings as a penis piercing, where it's the skin on the top side with bars. They've rejected out every single time.
Yeah.
Once you get erect, that skin on the top is so taut, it just wants to push it out.
Yep.
So
Makes sense.
Yep. Some people have anatomy. If it's loose enough tissue, people can heal them. There's a guy out there. I don't know if you want to Google this or not, but I'm going to say it. Sailor Sid.
Yep.
He's got a full row, a ladder on the top and the bottom, possibly the sides. You're going to see him and go, what?
How?
Yeah. Sailor Sid.
Awesome.
I said it.
Yep. All right. Last person, Amanda Tucker, was talking about a doff.
Yes.
She said, yeah, it's 18 to 16, not going past the 16 with the doff. One thing that I want to emphasize is she did say that she changed the jewelry to a clicker. So I'm not sure if you're still in the process of healing or where you are in the healing process, but if you're not healed and you just stretched to a 16 and you have a clicker in, I would have some mild concerns. I'm not the biggest fan of clickers in healing jewelry. They can work. There are a lot of piercers that I know and respect.
You can also rub dirt on a piercing and it can heal. We don't suggest it.
Sometimes I feel we heal in spite of the things that we do and not because of. So if you're having trouble, I would definitely consider not switching to something that wasn't a clicker, like a captive bead ring or a circular barbell just for a short time.
The reason why is the clicker is going to have little tiny seams or gaps.
Yep.
The whole idea is that you're going to get your jewelry as smooth as possible so crusties can't stick to it, bacteria is not going to get in there, and it's not going to get stuck inside the piercing. Now, once you're fully healed and you don't have all those crusties, it doesn't matter if that little seam or little gap gets on the inside. So that's the whole thing. Once you're done fully swelling, done with all the crusties,
Yep.
then you can change to the clicker, but it's a bad idea during the healing process. You're going to find it's probably going to get uncomfortable and kind of stuck at times. And if that's the case, go back to a non-clicker until it's healed.
Yep. Agreed.
Captive bead ring, circular barbell.
She did have a last question /
Sure.
suggestion request. Any suggestions with hoops in my conches? Sometimes when I wear a hoop in my conch, it would hurt. I do move in my sleep and have a travel pillow I use to sleep comfortably at night with my ear piercings. Conches are known for that. Rings and conches are known for being a pain when you sleep.
Part of the reason why is a conch piercing is generally deeper in, and the deeper in you go, the bigger the ring has to be. So the more the ring can twist and contort as opposed to a small one. So there's a lot more movement, and it's really, really easy to irritate it. Some people can get away with it. Some people can't. And you're just going to have to put it in and just deal with it for weeks. And if it doesn't get better, you might be one of those people where it's like put the stud in and wear the ring when you want to go out.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. I know that like a ton of people that I know have had issues sleeping with conch rings, especially if they're larger gauge.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might just be something you got to swap in and out.
And this is why you should never pierce with a ring and a conch too.
Agreed.
Oh yeah.
Agreed. One last interjection from Bruh, you for real, said, hi, I'm getting both my eyebrows pierced this weekend. Haven't gotten pierced in 3 years. So excited, but also very nervous about the healing process with these.
Welcome back. It is a possibility you might get a little bit of black eyes, but eyebrows, they're pretty darn easy. They're kind of like starting with earlobes. It's scarier because it's your face and it's not your earlobes, but you'll be just fine. So, that being said, this is where we're going to wind it up. You know how this goes. If you enjoyed the video, you like this, make sure you hit the like, hit subscribe, and of course, keep putting holes in your body. We'll see you all in the next video.
Done. We were getting close on that on the